What is up, my people? My name is Arjuneus. Welcome back to another episode of the Mind Over Meat podcast. Today, I have a special guest with me. His name is Alistar, and we're going to be going deep into the mind.
Hey, I'm Alistar. I'm the bass player and vocalist for the band DMT. Besides being in the band, which we're a hardcore, visionary, death metal, melodic band. We're kind of a unique style of the new genre of metal, but we have a really conscious message behind our music. And also, I'm a writer. Some people call me a mystic, a shaman, a poet. I feel I'm more of a dragon. I have this energy in me that wants to always express this message about consciousness and becoming the best version of who you are. And that's why we're here today, to crack open these mysteries and get to the bottom of what it is that we need to do to become the best version of ourselves.
Hell yeah. What an intro. So we're just kind of piggybacking off of that. Like, your band is called DMT. Yeah. So DMT is known to be like a very powerful like drug that's kind of changed a lot of people's lives for the better or for the worst. But I kind of can you explain a little bit about how DMT kind of influenced you? Like, was this before the band started? Like, you guys had like a DMT trip and it kind of made you guys envision like, let's start a band together? Or was it like just the idea was already there, the concept was there, and what
was already there. The idea was already there. Because I was already doing research that led up to the discovery of DMT, at least into my life, because most people go through their whole life and they never even heard of what DMT is. And the thing is, DMT is not a drug. DMT is a chemical. And it's actually a chemical that our own bodies make. So our bodies make it. And it is a psychedelic chemical. So it is believed that there's a theory that at night when you go to sleep, our bodies are producing DMT, and that's actually why we have these vivid hallucinations that we call dreams.
I didn't know that it happens when you sleep too. I heard that like when you're dead, you produce DMT, but
yeah,
so you produce.
People have near-death experiences. You'll hear them. They'll have these mystical visions where they'll go to the other side. They see people that died in their family. They'll see mystical visions. They'll see things that people that have done DMT will see also. So that's why it's all tied together. And there's actually a book called DMT, the Spirit Molecule, where this doctor did a clinical study in the 1990s, yes, before 2000.
Yeah.
Before phones and so he did a research where he did a clinical study on DMT, and DMT basically he logged all these mystical visions that people had. So and his theory was that not only that you create it possibly when you're born, when you die, and then also when you're having these dreams in between.
Yeah, I've seen the Spirit Molecule documentary. I had no clue that was like also like a whole book and everything. That's cool. So what's like if you had like, for someone that doesn't know anything much about DMT or much about like higher conscious livings, like what are like the three most important things that drew you to it and that you think other people might find like fascinating about like a shift in like the quality of life after you have kind of ascended to this plane of like living?
So my DMT vision, my experience wasn't peaceful and divine. It was actually very aggressive, and it almost
really
traumatized me. So in 2012 is when I had my big dose, and I call it a heroic dose. So I did my research. I knew the amount you had to do. I knew how long you had to hold it. I did the whole thing, and I did it, and basically it killed me.
Holy shit, it killed you. Okay.
It's called a shamanic death rebirth experience, and now I understand what I read the words before. I understood what it meant, but to actually experience it and feel it,
damn,
you can't be ready for that. So it's like it's like your practice dying basically, and it told me I died. As soon as I took the hit, it said, "You fucked up, game over, you're dead."
Wow.
What are you gonna feel when you say that? I had so much remorse, regret. I fucked up because I wanted to peek on the other side to see, I wanted to learn something, and I went too deep, and now I can't come back. And I actually had a life review. All the people that I had in my life, like I just thought about them all and had all this remorse, regret. You know all the bad stuff you've done in your life, all the people you screwed over, and you can't hide from that, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's, okay, coming back full circle, the three things, I came back and I had so much just like...
Remorse.
Not relief. I was just so happy to be alive again. So it's almost like I had that second chance. So, and now I realize if you carry in all that negative conflicts, negative energy, all that negative stuff, that's what comes to the surface first. So that's how, like, if you look at religions, they say you can go to hell if you go in with all that negative energy. And I think it is like a self-created dimension that you enter with all that negative energy. And it felt like I went to hell. And, you know, after that, it's like, now I understand everything you do in this life affects what goes on beyond there.
Wow.
So it's like, once you know that, it's like you're almost obligated to help people do the right thing, go out of your way, because you know it's going to affect the long term. And
Yeah, it's interesting because I've had a similar experience with similar, let's say, substances, but it came to me like actually in a temple because I was learning about this in Hinduism. I grew up a Hindu, right? Not that I'm like, you know, hardcore religious, but in Hinduism, there's this thing called the Vedas, and the Vedas are like these 100,000-year-old texts, right? So this was, and some would argue that Hindus back in that time wasn't a religion; it was like a science, because back there was no truth. There was just Hinduism. If you're going to study the Vedas, and there's these massive texts where they're all writing information down, and part of what they wrote in these texts through their meditations and deep transcendental thoughts that they would come up with in their, you know, scholarly groups was the theory of reincarnation. And they had a lot of different forms of karma attached to reincarnation, talking about how what you do in this life impacts your next reincarnation, and what you're doing presently is you presently. And I think one of the craziest things that I remember reading is that to be a human, to be reincarnated into a human being, and obviously this is all speculation, but this is just something that kind of, you know, resonated with me on a spiritual level, because it almost felt like whispers in my head. It didn't feel like I was reading a text and being told this is what God said to do, you know, like we're some religions. But to me, this really felt like it wasn't just like words. It was just like, damn, I feel like this is like forgotten knowledge that's always been in my head. So that this revelation kind of led me to see that, like, wow, like perhaps we really are all reflections of each other. Perhaps we really are just the same entity, separated by our 5 physical senses, our sight, our smell and taste and hearing.
right, if you strip away all that stuff, if you strip away your details, the things that you like, what you're feeling, and it's just that field of vision that you're looking out right now. The way you're looking out right now is no different than the way I'm looking out right now.
Yeah, and it's all happening all at the same time. It's like an eternity where we're just all existing in this one singularity, but it's this like illusion of bodies. And perhaps we want it to be like that, so it's at least entertaining to talk to ourselves. Otherwise, we're just
You get bored. You get bored.
Yeah,
If you have
yeah, you'd be bored if you're this omniscient, omnipotent God. Like, you'd be bored out of your mind. Like,
That's why we like movies that have the left turns and the twists. We need
yeah, you need
the unknown.
yeah, you need a bit of the unknown, because I feel like deep down, if you really do transcend, you'll realize that everything is one, and at some point you realize, like, wow, this is why I, as God, wanted to separate into these different earthlings, because it was just too perfect. That's how the universe works, if I'm not mistaken. Like, the whole Big Bang is like the universe breathing. It just explodes into this Big Bang, and then it comes back into this singularity of consciousness, and then comes and breaks back together. That's how we breathe as God. You need to come together as a unified consciousness, and then completely separate yourself into a Big Bang.
So, you know, if you become spiritual, you believe only really like in the present moment, because the past is just a memory, the future is just a vision. There's only the present moment. Everything's always happening right here, right now. It's always just constantly the present moment is just constantly evolving and changing. So the Big Bang actually happened right now, and we're just a continuation of that Big Bang right now. They were like the evolution, but in that same present moment. So there is no time. It's just a continuous flow that's evolving into whatever it is that we're gonna
evolve into. Yeah, we're getting to the next evolutionary step in consciousness soon.
One thing you brought up about the Hinduism and the DMT realm, the patterns, the visions, the entities I saw were all like Hindu related. Hindu
Wow.
is a
Wow.
blue goddess that I swear I only see in Tibetan, or not Tibetan, but just
Yeah. Yeah.
that type of style.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
know,
With
you'll
like
see the
multiple arms.
exactly.
Holy crap.
I saw a perfect vision of Buddha's head, and I wasn't even Buddhist when I entered the DMT vision, you know?
Damn.
So it made me realize, like, all these religions, they weren't making this stuff up, and they were drawing things that they saw, beings
Yeah.
that they were talking to,
Yeah.
that they were in tune with. So they were, that's why there was temples to goddesses. They were actually in tune and probably inducing mystical, visual, psychedelic states and communicating with them. So that's what I feel humanity is lacking. That's why I'm a big proponent on. I don't want to say I propose people to do psychedelics, but I propose, or I
Well, at least a study of
push.
that. Yeah. Because I think back in the day, their science was all focused on consciousness. Today's science has absolutely no consciousness whatsoever in its priority list. It's all about what's going to sell, consumerism stuff. It's all like
There's a little
products.
bit of psychedelic research now leaking through. There's mushrooms.
Yeah, like
Gotten the
Terrace
green light.
Machina. Yeah.
They're doing it now for like therapy. Like all the different psychedelics are sort of almost like frequencies. Like there's almost like different dimensions of our mind. So each psychedelic gives you like a different slice of you. You know.
Yeah.
So you're almost putting a microscope into yourself and looking deep, deep,
Yeah.
deep, 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 deep. You know.
Yeah.
And you know, some people can do that with yoga, meditation. You induce that and get into that deep, deep state, you know. But some people like me that aren't disciplined enough, I can't make the climb to the top of the mountain. They need to be dropped off by a helicopter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tool, right? It's a tool. Like my friend Morg always says, like psychedelics are a tool to help your consciousness, but it's not necessary because some people can, yeah, like you said, achieve it through meditation. And I think it's hard because you need a group of people that are kind of just like you, your gym buddies. Like you need like buddies that push you in that direction. So you need a group of people that are hardcore into meditation to really help you tune into that realm. But kind of going back to the reincarnation thing I learned in the temple, it also got me to think about animals because I had a dog at the time and I wouldn't just, experience oneness with like friends and family. I started experiencing it with my dog, which is the trippiest thing because you're thinking like, how would life be if I was the dog? Wait a second, I am the dog right now. And like if you just stare at your dog's eyes long enough, and it's weird, but if you just try it out, look at an animal in the eye, silence, don't say a single word, just look at the animal in the eye for at least 30 seconds, just dead silence. You will actually like, I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but like for me, I felt vicariously as if I was looking into my own eyes through that animal. And this kind of led me toward the whole path of veganism, because from my understanding was like Hinduism always preached vegetarianism, ahimsa, but these days, and I would eventually discover the term vegan. I'm like, what the fuck is vegan? Like, it's like vegetarian is good enough, I'm like, I already made enough effort. And then I would find out that in the modern age, veganism is the new vegetarianism, because by being a vegetarian, with how the economy is set up, by buying dairy, by buying eggs, milk, you're giving the money to the people that are still killing those cows to extract all those products out of it. So, and again, this is just a whisper that happened in my head where it was just telling me like, you need to do the right thing, not for them, for you.
Because animals don't think the way we do, so they don't have the attachments like we do and all that stuff. So like I have dogs, and those dogs, my dog has the most unconditional love towards me, more than any human being does.
Yeah, I mean they're like pure souls, like they might not have the same like intelligence, but it's like, dude, they deserve the world, They're dogs. They're like a pure.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had a golden retriever that passed away a while back, and that was like the deepest level of grief I ever suffered. And I've had like relatives die, and that's hard to explain.
Yeah.
But it was such a deep level of grief.
Yeah,
Like, it lasted like for a long time.
Yeah, no, I had the same thing, and it's because like a dog like is just so innocent. It's almost like equivalent to like a baby. Like a human dying, it's like, okay, at least they lived their life. They got to explore the world. A dog is just, you've been their life the whole time. Like they don't even know what the world is. They don't even know what other dogs are. They have just been, a good little pet in your house your whole time, and now they passed away. It's an innocent death. That's the problem. Whereas humans is like, you kind of expect their death. Like, all right, you're 80, 90 years old. You've had a good long run. Dogs get a very short run, 12 years, 15 years. very sad. But I totally feel you, because I've had multiple pets pass away, unfortunately. But yeah, I think in general, like, animals just hold a very sacred part in a lot of cultures, a lot of civilizations, and sometimes they are also our predators. But I think the innocent animals, the ones that have a lot to inspire us and teach us, those are the animals, at least I think, are worth protecting. And I almost see it as like a duty of of nature, to really, just by being the most smartest animal on this planet, we're like almost like the parent. We're almost like the god of the planet, where I feel an obligation that we have to bring order to the animal kingdom, because if we're not going to bring it, then we might go all extinct at some point.
They're like guardian spirits. And now that you're talking about all this, I had this vision of maybe they, like, if you have a dog or even a cat, even energetically, maybe they're warding off entities and energies that you're not even seeing.
Yeah, I totally, I could see that. In fact, I would even argue that because they're also a form of awareness, there's energies watching you. It's almost like karma watching you. Like, if you abuse a dog, that dog might not be able to attack you back or do anything back, but there's awareness that has been watching you abuse another animal, and that's all gonna come back to you somehow. Because, like we were talking about before, everyone's connected. So even if you kill an animal and you had no immediate consequences, who's to say that the entire universe that is actually monitoring everything and everyone through all the five senses of every single earthling in the universe, that it's not going to come back to you? And who's to say that perhaps you were that animal that you abused? Who's to say that maybe your hell, your reincarnation, which is what some Hindus believe, is that you will become those very animals that you brought suffering to? That's a trip right there. Because, I mean, you can never prove it's wrong and you can never prove it's right, but if it resonates, I feel like you have to really have a attuned mind to really see that, all right, is this a forgotten truth, or is this just some crazy propaganda? And I feel like if you meditate enough on it, it kind of makes sense to me, at least. But I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? So is it too much of a stretch, or you think
so I can see how, if you really encompass that and really focus on the consciousness of animals, how that would almost force you to become a vegan.
Yeah,
because you couldn't consciously, even just the thought of eating meat would bring up those thoughts. Where I haven't reached that level yet, but I understand how that lifestyle does help you energetically, cleanse you. You're thin, I'm not thin.
Yeah.
So there's a reason I'm not thin. It's because of what I eat. So I do see that, and so I think that's why I even agreed to do this, because just being around you inspires me. We've hung out,
we've done some stuff.
We went to the temple and meditated.
Yeah.
You wanted to go out and eat, and I'll eat vegan food, and I'm like, all right,
yeah,
it's not bad. But we have programming. We're programmed to be a certain way because of our upbringing. Besides trauma, which sort of inhibits and creates unconscious reactions from us, but we're also programmed with certain patterns because of our parents, mainly, or school, or beliefs. And I'm deeply indoctrinated and ate like a certain diet all my life, so it's almost like a pattern in me. So how do you break a pattern like that?
Oh, this is the thing. Unfortunately, I wish it didn't exist, but this is what my war is against. It's called the Matrix, or at least I call it that. The Matrix is basically a spin-off of the Matrix. Are you familiar with the Matrix films? Yeah. It's basically, it's a combination of, it is a true story. It's a combination of pharmaceutical industries, the government, and the meat and dairy industries, the three most powerful industries in the world that feed off of each other, keeping us sick, keeping us addicted to stuff. And that is the source of everything, because that is what goes into our parents, that's what goes into our traditions, that's what goes into the culture, and that eventually leads into this massive fallacy, which is the justification on why we need to go to McDonald's, why we need to go to KFC and eat this food. The whole setup is created in a way that it makes it so easy and convenient, culturally, traditionally, and socially, to just consume meat and dairy products. So the first thing that really helped me break out of it was really understanding what I'm dealing with. Because first I began to mistrust a lot of religions. I know we were just talking about Hinduism, but like there's other religions I started to mistrust, and I always wondered, like, why are so many people so deep into this? Like, why are they believing this stuff? And then from there, when I broke out of that, I saw a matrix of religion, how it just programs people. And then I started seeing it for other things, like a matrix of all these people that are just like, doing this stuff, doing that stuff. And it just led to this rabbit hole. And holy shit, it's not just one matrix. There's multiple different matrices. And arguably, some cultures are a matrix. The culture you're in? What is the difference between a culture and a cult, really? Like, so it made me think about like every tradition that I have that I've been told to respect, every culture I've been told to respect, every religion I've been told to respect, every governmental law that you've been told to respect. Don't break the law, by the way, but I'm just saying, just think about it, right? All the rules that have been set, who created them and why did they create them? Is it for your good or is it for someone else's monetary good? Meat and dairy products sounds like it's a very monetary thing at face value. So when you dissect it a little bit, it makes you think that, holy shit, this is not right, first of all. And second of all, it is a program that I was installed with, right? And it's a tough pill to swallow, but I mean, if you want to take the blue pill, live in Wonderland, go for it. But I took the red pill. I was like, dude, I need to figure out what is going on because my health is not good. I don't feel right energetically. My heart doesn't feel in the right spot. And there's this huge movement of vegans. I want to learn more about this. So it just comes with like the idea of knowing that perhaps you have been programmed a certain way that wasn't correct, and maybe your parents thought they knew what was best for you and they did their best, but as an adult I feel like I felt an obligation that it's my responsibility to reprogram myself, not just for me, but probably for my future generations, probably for my own friends and people that could actually, I can wake them up from the matrix, you know, because if I can't wake myself up, how am I going to influence my social circle to get them to live a higher conscious life and kind of, I guess, metaphorically save them, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what inspired me to break out of it. I don't know if everyone else can do the same path. I mean, I'm not saying that you should do what I did because it wasn't the easiest path, but it is what kind of led me to it. The more I learned about psychology, the more I realized how fragile the human mind is. It's literally just a computer that people install with programming. And it's interesting because when a baby is born, the second they're born, they're starting to get programmed. Everything a baby learns is through mimicry, right? That's the behavior that we learn. We're speaking English not because someone just taught us English when we're 2 years old. We just started like apple, and then our mom says apple, and you're like, okay, apple. You just start mimicking everything. That in itself is a program. Now, it's not a bad program, right? You need to learn a language at some point just to communicate better, but everything is mimicry. So you see a bunch of KFCs and McDonald's outside and you see other people walking in there. That's actually just programming you to think, okay, I see other human beings like me and my members of my species eating chicken. Maybe I should eat it. So you don't think about these things. You're just like, okay, everyone else is doing it. There's only some vegans that are not doing it. So I'm going to go with the majority here, herd mindset. And going into like deeper, the herd mindset is what keeps people like locked into, certain comforts of like eating and behaving, even talking, even drinking, even doing, certain crazy substances. So it all comes down to who's the herd that you're around. And I think there's a saying, I forget who says it, but they said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it's so true because on a psychological level, it's been proven time and time again. The people you spend your time around, that is your future.
Some of it's that mimicry because you even absorb some of the characteristics of all the people.
Characteristics,
say some of their phrases,
energy, phrases, everything. It's all complete mimicry, and you can talk about it from a psychological lens, a mystic lens, a social lens. You're going to turn into them at some point. So if you're around agents of the Matrix, you're going to be an agent. If you're around people that are outside of the Matrix, the Neos, the people that took the red pill, you're going to walk outside of the Matrix. You're going to fly above it, and you won't be able to have a program installed in you. So that's kind of what the revelation that I walked through. But it was a very long journey. It wasn't like, okay, I'm going vegan tonight. It was, I'm eating meat, then I'm going to go to vegetarian. Then a couple years later, I did more dissection in these documentaries. I debated vegans myself to figure out what the hell's going on. And I was like, all right, you know what? You guys are right. I'm making a commitment.
Some of them are too hardcore for me because some like will claim you can't reach higher levels of consciousness unless your body's pure too. But I'm living proof that you can reach higher levels of consciousness and still be a little bit unfit. So, but it's about maintaining it though. So I had the experience in 2012, but it's the work you do every day beyond that. So if you don't constantly stay conscious on your consciousness, it's easy to slip back into unconsciousness because we can't sit here and like me and you and talk about this every day. I go to work and nobody talks about this at work. Everybody's talking about low vibrational things. Yeah. And then you get sucked into that realm almost. And I allow myself to play that role while I'm in it. You're almost like it's almost like a video game. You're going to play a video game. You're going to step into that role and be that person and do whatever it is that needs to be done in that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a place and time for that, and I see that. But behind the curtain is still higher levels of thinking behind all that. So I try not to slip into it. I was far more overweight before, and to lose weight, I had to cut out. Usually it was a plant-based diet that got me to lose weight. I would have to like do like fasting and take pills that were just like, it just had like vitamins and green stuff in it, you know.
Hell yeah.
And that would clean me, and I would always feel a lot better.
But I think like the natural way like of looking at it, like as close to nature you can get, is like our entire anatomy, our entire psychology, our entire like what makes us like, you know, feel good, like why is it that, for example, I always bring this point up just to make it simple, right? Why is it that we're okay with seeing a carrot get cut, but we're not okay with seeing a pig get cut? If they're both food, if they're both are things that we need to eat, why is there so much tension? Why do we have to censor it? Like, if we didn't need to censor it, perhaps that means we're psychologically designed to be hungry when a pig is being cut open, but we're not. We're freaked out, and we got to hide that stuff. So that already tells you enough about what you're programmed to do. Because if a lion saw an animal being cut open, what's it going to do? It's going to start salivate. It's going to be like hungry. It's going to be like, wow, that looks delicious. It's being cut open. So that's the first, you know, the thing that kind of makes me think like, all right, this is perhaps not the optimal thing we need to do. And then also just like our health, like we're talking about, like when you're in a plant-based diet, like you feel like healthier. Not to say that, you know, you can't like be smart, you can't be higher conscious. That's like a totally different realm. Like you can be healthy smoking cigarettes. Like there's a lot of variables that you got to account for to be higher conscious or to be healthy or to be ethical, of course. But I think with me, it's just like my path has led me to a strong sense of veganism, not just because of the whispers, but just because of the people I've interacted with, which has like kind of pushed me to like, or kind of like inspired me to be like, all right, I know it's going to be different from the rest of the world, but I think I'm prepared to take that leap, take that heroic dose.
So you keep bringing up the whispers, so that's very, very...
You know,
so
like,
I feel DMT opens up the realm of your thoughts, your whispers. So you see the things that are whispering to you.
I 100% agree with you.
And it's not what you think it is either. You know what I mean? So that's why, you know, we want it to be a certain thing, and then we see what it is, and it's like, whoa. And you can't even put words to it because it's the realm beyond words. Yeah. So that's why it almost can only just be visually painted. We can try to point at it and describe it, but it's like trying to make somebody understand sex. You can just talk about it all you want. It's not the same thing as actually feeling it and experiencing it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Some of these things, like the omega point, you can only experience it. There's no human language in the world or any culture that can actually articulate and describe the experience, because like you said, it's an experience where words can only give you the superficial aspect of it, like, oh, it looks like this, or eyes are moving, or whatever the heck it was, but you got to experience it. You need to have awareness to really understand the full throttle nature of what you're dealing with.
But there is a familiarity to it too, which is weird. You know?
Yeah, that's what I keep saying. I feel like it's like a forgotten memory. It's like a forgotten part of what you knew, which is different than being taught something or preached about something. So it's like, this is what I mean by resonate. Like when I feel like I hear a truth, I'm like, holy shit, like this is not just a truth. This is like something that like inherently the whispers are telling me, like, no, this is what we've been trying to tell you, but you've just been, you know, closing off your subconscious realm this whole time. And part of you just kind of like, it's like a ghost that just like latches on and says, like, no, this is where you need to be pushed toward, like your intuition, I guess, if you will.
Like how you brought up how your path took you to Hinduism. It's
like
your path is taking you to that answer. And it's just the way you said it, and it sparked something in me. I'm like, oh, wait, hold on, I tied into what I experienced too. You know, it's like we're all getting little glimpses of this huge puzzle that's too big for any one person to see it all. So that's why I like talking to different people that have different experiences, and you get a wider scope. The bigger view you get, you start to understand it a little bit more, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever understand the whole thing until
we're dead.
Until we're fully there.
No, I totally get you. I think the more you talk to people about these topics, you get different perspectives, and it narrows it down to like a universal truth, because you start to see the parallels that everyone has.
And if you look at the ancient times, and the Egyptians, Mayans, Hindus, you know, whatever, thousands of years ago, they were all focused on consciousness and preparing for the afterlife.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if you were programmed to always have that on your mind, we would all probably eat healthier and be vegan. We would all be better people to each other. But that's not the society. That's not the the rule of the games that we're playing today.
Yeah, because the programming is all about making money now. Anything that can push you to buy things and push you to do things that's going to fuel the economy, that's unfortunately the programming. But I totally agree with you, where I think we should have like, or at least perhaps through these conversations, we're unknowingly creating societies and discussions of the afterlife and higher consciousness, because that's actually the real world where I think that actually matters.
Definitely. Even if one person hears this and it makes them change or do something, that alone is worth all this that we're doing, you know?
Yep, 100%. But anyways, thank you so much for coming to my podcast, man, and it was absolutely great talking to you, as always.
I think we got a little chink into the mystery a little bit more. You definitely made me think a little bit more about what I eat and so forth. So
I'm glad, dude. I'm glad. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode, and let me know in the comments down below what you thought about it, and I will see you guys next time. Playoffs out.